It's Christmas time. Merry Christmas, Sooners Nation. We're going to have a special edition today talking about what do we want to see under the Oklahoma Sooners Christmas tree this year. All of that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Sooners Nation. Merry Christmas to you. Hope you're having a great Christmas Eve day and a great weekend with your family and friends. Hoping and praying for safe travels for you as you get on the road, fly, and hopefully get to where you're supposed to go on time with no delays, no weather delays. I've been in enough airports and had enough delays that it's pretty terrible. So wishing you safe travels and a happy holidays with your family and friends, however you decide to spend it. And we're going to talk about what we want to see under Oklahoma's Christmas tree. Thank you so much for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Sooners, on Facebook, Locked On Sooners Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. We just hit our 1,000 subscriber goal for the year. We've just been on YouTube since the 1st of November. So the fact that we have so many subscribers to the show thus far, I can't completely express my appreciation for all of those who follow the show and have listened to the show as I've hosted it now for a year and a half and helped it grow as it has. You guys are the number one. You are the number one. You're the best. And I'm so thankful to have you all as a part of the show. Thanks for interacting on YouTube as well and on Twitter. Love just interacting and talking football and talking sports. It's a lot of fun for me. And so let's talk sports wherever you like to follow the show, but make sure you do so wherever you do. Let me know how you feel about the show and your thoughts on the Oklahoma Sooners recruiting classes, where they're heading in 2022. Would love to hear your feedback on that. But let's talk about what we want to see under the tree. Now, first and foremost, at the top of the list, heading to Santa Claus, has got to be the return of Caleb Williams. I think we've talked about it several times on the show. No news is good news, but it'll feel really, really good when we get the news that Caleb Williams is going to return to the Oklahoma Sooners. A lot of how 2022 is going to go is going to depend a lot on Caleb Williams. Where he ends up, hopefully it's still with the Oklahoma Sooners. Their level of contention in 22 will depend a little bit on that. Now, Oklahoma's defense is still going to be really strong. They're losing a lot of people. Nick Evers is a pretty good quarterback, but he's still going to be a true freshman coming in next year. Unless they're able to have somebody come in through the transfer portal to replace Williams, a lot of what 2022 looks like depends on Caleb Williams. I know it's a team game. Football is the ultimate team sport, but the quarterback matters more than any other position in football. I do believe that Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby and the coaching staff would be able to find something to kind of carry them over, to hold it over, but it wouldn't be the same quality as if Caleb Williams returned. Santa, if you're listening, if we've been good at all this year, just bring us Caleb Williams. Put Caleb Williams under the tree this year. We'd love to have Caleb Williams back. Superman returning. That would be huge for the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 2 on the list, the Oklahoma Sooners recruiting classes have jumped back up into the top 10 in both On3 and 247 Sports team recruiting rankings. And you love to see it. I mean, this is a recruiting class that had dropped to 27th in the wake of Lincoln Riley's departure. They've done a really good job recovering the class. The assistant coaches were just on fire on the recruiting trail. Brent Venables, Jeff Lebby coming in, Miguel Chavis, those guys coming in and helping to almost resurrect it a little bit. But a lot of the assistant coaches have to get a lot of credit for where this team is, and Bob Stoops as well, for the transition that took place. These guys were hitting it. They were hitting the road. They were nonstop. They did not slow down. They didn't back off. They went after their guys and they hit home runs. To be able to flip Kobe McKenzie back was a huge win for the Oklahoma Sooners. To keep Gavin Sawchuk committed was huge. Robert Spears Jennings as well. And so big shout out to the assistant coaches. But next on the list is another big time recruit that Oklahoma is hot and heavy on. And that's Devon Campbell, the 5-star interior offensive lineman, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the 2022 class. if they could land him, that would be a huge win for the Oklahoma Sooners. Right now, it's coming down to between them and Texas. And from what I hear, it sounds like Oklahoma is the lean right now. That still we're a little more than a month away from National Signing Day. He's not planning on making anything known until then. And so we're not going to know anything for sure until that goes down. But if we can get a nasty, big interior offensive lineman to add to Jacob Sexton and Jake Taylor, that would be incredible for that 2022 class. It would create a really, really strong foundation for the future of the Oklahoma Sooners football program. Next, speaking of Bob Stoops, for me, I want more than anything for him to get a win in the Alamo Bowl, just for what he's done for the program in the last month. I mean, historically, he's the legend. He's got a statues in the College Football Hall of Fame. An Alamo Bowl win doesn't, or even a loss, doesn't change his legacy much. But for all the work that he's put in to the program over the last few weeks, helping to kind of keep it afloat, keep it moving forward, keeping the momentum going on the 2021 season, on the recruiting trail, everything that he's done to help this program, it just would be the right thing for him to have an Alamo Bowl win to go out on as he finishes his time as the interim head coach and then passes the torch officially over to Brent Venables. That would just be awesome. Like that, I think that would make a lot of Sooners years. This has been a really weird month. It's been a great month full of a lot of emotions, from Riley leaving to Venables coming, or to Stoops coming and stepping in as the interim head coach, to Venables coming to the recruiting class. I mean, like everything just keeps trending in an upward trajectory. And that would be a great way to finish the 2021 college football season. And I think it just would provide a ton of optimism for the future. But more than that, it would just give Bob Stoops like another day that he gets to be the king, to get to be the king of OU. And I would love it. I know you would too. So Oklahoma, go out there, get that Alamo Bowl win here in a few days. It would be a lot of fun for Sooners Nation. And then just add a nice little note to the story of Bob Stoops at Oklahoma. But coming up next, we're going to talk about a few more things that we want to see under the Christmas tree for 2021. And I want to talk to you about a few Pro Bowl selections for the Oklahoma Sooners and one snub as well. But first, I want to talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. They've got you covered all holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the college bowl season and the pro football playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the website, use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Again, BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. And get ready, the Ultimate College Football Playoff Preview is out. The first episode dropped today on Friday, so make sure you check that out. Search for that on your podcast channels. We've got local experts, betting advice, and draft analysis. The most comprehensive college football playoff preview begins today. Today, it's college football playoff time in the next week or so. So make sure you check out the college football playoff preview. Oklahoma's going to be back in it. And if Caleb Williams is back, that's going to be the next thing on the Christmas list is 2022 return to the college football playoff in Brent Venables' first year as head coach. Now that's one of those like gift of the month gifts. Like it's not going to be something that we see come to fruition a year down the road, but like every month you're going to get your next bottle of wine or your newest cheese or the latest shaving cream that's going to come in your gift of the month package that you might get. So, for December, we got the top 10 recruiting class. In January, maybe it's going to be some more intel as to where some of these guys might be going. One of the gifts that we got recently was Jaron Kanak. He officially decommitted from Clemson after enrolling at Oklahoma. So it looks like that's going to be all but official coming National Signing Day. Next thing we want to see on our Christmas list, Natty Gasso. We want to see a back-to-back. We hope for Santa bring us a back-to-back College World Series title for the softball team. This is a team that's bringing back a ton of talent, including Jocelyn Allo, Tara Jennings, Mackenzie Donahue. If they're able to put together the run that they did last year, this is going to be a team that's going to be really, really hard to beat. The power, it's hard to find the power that they have, but also the situational hitting. They got really clutch pitching in the College World Series. And so this is a team that I think is going to continue to contend, and they're going to be the favorite for the national title again in 2022. So would love to see that. Man, hey, can we get a men's and women's basketball team that are ranked? Both teams, the men's basketball team has 2 losses, got 2 top 15 wins, one over Florida, one over Arkansas. The women's team, they're 9-1, one of the best offenses in the country. They've got a win over top 16. BYU beat Utah on the road as well. So I'm thinking that the polls need to course correct a little bit and get Oklahoma men's and women's basketball into the top 25. Yeah, they're receiving votes, and yeah, like on the men's side, they have the most votes. But come on, get them in there. Now, Big 12 play is about to start, so we're going to start seeing how this team stacks up against one of the best basketball conferences in the country. And so that'll really tell us where this team is, if they're going to be able to make some noise in the Big 12 tournament, in March Madness. That's the question at this point in time. But they're a good defensive team. They move the ball really, really well. They shoot the ball really, really well on the men's side. If they can do all those things, they're going to be really, really tough to beat, both in Big 12 play and in conference tournament, or in the national title tournament as well. One last thing that I would love to see in 2022 for the Oklahoma Sooners, and that is just a return to national prominence. I think this is a team that's going to be one of the best teams in college football next year. I think the defense is going to be really, really good. I think despite the losses that they see, I think it's going to be a team that does get the most out of the parts that it has. So, they might have lost Nick Bonito. They might have lost Isaiah Thomas and Perion Winfrey. Good chance they'll lose Jalen Redmond as well. But it's going to be one of those that's not necessarily better because you lost players, but the style and the coaching, I think, will help it to improve. You still got really talented players on the outside in DJ Graham and Woody Washington. Reggie Grimes is an up-and-comer. You've still got a guy like Danny Stutzman, Ethan Downs, who are talented players, young, got a lot of experience this year. I think that's going to help them. I'd love to see a Billy Bowman step up and have a better sophomore season than he did a freshman season. I think he's still very talented. He showed at times that he's got a ball hawking ability that will be really useful as the slot nickel corner. It's just a matter of finding some consistency in coverage. Key Lawrence, man, that's a dude that I think I'm most excited to see under Brent Venables, because we saw that when he got more and more playing time, the edge that he brought in the back seven. In your front four, you had guys that played with some grit and some nastiness, and Perion Winfrey, and Nick Bonito. Those guys were just nasty, but you didn't really. I mean, no disrespect to the linebackers or the defensive backs, but when Key Lawrence got into the game, when he came to hit somebody, he hit somebody, and he hit him hard. And he just had a lot of energy and a lot of fire, and I think that really helped the Oklahoma Sooners defense down the stretch. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing him with Brent Venables. That's kind of the last item that I have on my Christmas list, is just I can't wait to see Key Lawrence with Brent Venables. The other thing is maybe a little help in the transfer portal. I know Brent Venables isn't too keen on the transfer portal, but we've lost several guys. We're losing a lot of guys to the NFL draft. I'd love to see them target just a few guys with some experience. We already landed Parker Jr., the tight end from Missouri, and I think that's going to help. If they get Braden Willis back and they bring him back as well, I think Daniel Parker Jr. and Braden Willis will make a really nice tight end tandem. Daniel Parker, he's a really good blocking tight end, same as Braden Willis, but both have that receiving ability. It's kind of subtle. It's not like the Mark Andrews or even Austin Stogner, Jeremiah Hall ability, but they're guys that can make plays in the passing game. We saw Braden Willis do a lot more of that this year. Daniel Parker Jr. caught a couple touchdowns from Missouri this year. So, but I would like to see them add some defensive line talent just for depth purposes, I like the talent that we already have in Isaiah Coe. Hopefully they're able to bring Jalen Redmond back, but I'm not banking on that because that's a guy that's probably a top 100 pick in the NFL draft. But with Ethan Downs and Reggie Grimes, I really like where they're headed at the edge position. So if they could land maybe a defensive tackle to help with the rotation, I think it'd be a good ad. They got several guys coming in on the recruiting class in 2022, more than likely to play interior defensive tackle. But it's a step up going from playing high school to college, just like it's a step up going to play from college to the NFL. And your body has to evolve and your game has to evolve because it gets more and more physical with each step you take. So I wouldn't necessarily bank on those freshman interior defensive linemen being ready to contribute significantly right away. But and then we got LaRon Stokes coming back more than likely. I mean, it'd be really good to see him take a step forward and get some significant playing time as well. But next, let's talk about the Pro Bowl. We had several Sooners selected to the Pro Bowl, and we got one that was snubbed. We'll talk about that after I tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. And through the holiday season, they've got the best desserts for you. Great flavors, great options. And myself, I always love the peanut butter brownie, the mint brownie. They always hit just right. You can also get double chocolate cookies and cream. And they've got that coconut brownie chunk available as well. So make sure you go to built.com, use LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order. Hey, and if you're one of those people that likes to drink vitamin drinks, I really recommend you try the Built Boost. We drink that regularly, my wife and I. It just helps to give us the extra vitamins and electrolytes that we like to have during the cold and flu season just to help build our immunity. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. And then finishing up here on Locked On Sooners, we're kind of doing a little bit of a short episode just because it's the holidays. Christmas is happening. It's Christmas Eve day as we're recording. But I just want to, again, say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Locked On Sooners. It means a lot that you make it a priority in your day, that you listen to it on whether you're working out or on your way to work or at work or however you listen to Locked On Sooners. I'm thankful that you give me your ears for the 20 to 30 minutes every day. And this show wouldn't be what it is without you, without your support, and without your interaction on the various social media sites and on YouTube. And so thank you so much. I love to talk sports. It's just a lot of fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you to listen to. And we're going to continue to improve and evolve as things go on and as days go by, and hope to start bringing in some guests in the spring to just add another element to the show. So let's talk Pro Bowl. Oklahoma had five former Sooners selected to the Pro Bowl. You had left tackle Trent Williams of the San Francisco 49ers, Orlando Brown for the Kansas City Chiefs. You had Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, and now somebody I'm blanking on, Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens, of course, because Mark Andrews is killing it right now. And all of those guys are very well deserving. Kyler Murray, at one point in time, he's been in the MVP race throughout the NFL season. Arizona's kind of dipped down a little bit over the last few weeks, but he's still playing really, really good football. Some of their thing is just DeAndre Hopkins has been out, and that's definitely going to hurt any offense, any quarterback. They're playing tough defenses right now, too. Trent Williams, he's the highest graded player in pro football, according to Pro Football Focus, especially at his position. Mark Andrews, we just talked about him earlier this week, where he is the first Baltimore Ravens tight end to eclipse 1,000 yards receiving in a season, which is incredible. And then Joe Mixon, he's number 2 in rushing, behind only Jonathan Taylor for the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's got a lot of guys having a lot of really, really good years this year for their respective teams. Orlando Brown and the Kansas City Chiefs kind of started off slow, but now they've really picked it up and they're starting to peak with just a few weeks left till the playoffs. But there's one snub, and that's Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey has easily been the best center in football this year, the highest graded center by Pro Football Focus. He's got the highest grade for a center in like the last 5 years as a rookie. Now, Pro Bowl voting is such a weird thing, and Pro Bowl selections are so weird that it's hard to take them seriously sometimes. At the same time, these guys use Pro Bowls, all pro votes, and postseason awards in their contract negotiations. Like Creed Humphrey had a chance to be a 4-time or 3-time Pro Bowl selection whenever his rookie contract gets ready to be extended or when it expires. Like, he had a chance to say, I'm a 3 or 4-time Pro Bowler. Now, hopefully, the voters course correct this and get him an all pro selection, because that'll mean more. At the same time, not getting selected to the Pro Bowl just means that people haven't taken notice that he's been really, really good this year. And a lot of times it can take a year for the voters in the NFL to understand how good someone has been, and they'll kind of correct it the next year. But he's been really, really good this year. He's been a significant part of what Kansas City has done offensively in the run game that have allowed them to be the number one seed in the AFC at this point in time. And so to not have Creed Humphrey in there, it's kind of a travesty, and it's definitely a snub. I would like to see, hopefully, this will all course correct. I mean, if the Kansas City Chiefs make the Super Bowl, it won't matter. But if somebody drops out, hopefully Creed Humphrey is the guy that gets the replacement nod. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Sooners. You can follow me on Twitter at John9Williams. You can follow it on Facebook at Locked On Sooners Podcast. You can also read my work covering the Oklahoma Sooners over at the Sooners Wire. Still doing recruiting coverage. Got Oregon coming up next week, so we'll start hitting that here on the show and on the Sooners Wire as well. But enjoy your holiday season. Enjoy Christmas with your friends and family. Again, safe travels. Praying it's a great weekend for you, and we'll see you on Monday. Until then, I'm John Williams. Boomer Sooner.